Hello and welcome to the Craftsman Show. My name is your host, the Craftsman. In today's video, we're going to talk about sculpting wax. Clay wax that you can modify, sculpt, use to make your own little creations, figurines, but also that can be even used for casting and further modifications of your existing things. So what got me interested in trying monster clay to begin with? A little while back I got this book called Pop Sculpture about sculpting, how to create action figures and collectible statues. The action figure, the thing that I keyed in on right there. It goes into a lot of the traditional style, sculpting, hand sculpting. It even goes into mold making. So if you're interested in resin casting, all that, it goes into all kinds of little things. It even talks about joints and things, you know, action figure joints. Now, I will say that I probably would recommend this for grown-ups because, you know, some of the pictures is some of the ladies in this thing is just kind of like, you know, scantily clad type of situation. But other than that, accessories. Look at that. But other than that, this is a really wonderful book about traditional style sculpting. Different types of materials, you know, Castilene, polymer clay, different things like that. All the different ways that you can make your own formulas. You can mix crayons and wax, you know, get different color, get different consistency. And that's where I began to become so fascinated by this. If you are interested in making your own sculpting wax, I have included a video in the description. Mr. Sky will show you the formula, but I will go ahead and tell you that you probably will have to come up with your own color for this.
And then we use crayons for the coloring, but I'm not going to tell you how many red ones I use. Use my recipe, but come up with your own color. I think that's fair.
Lots of good information in that video. But today, we're going to be reviewing a product that is available to you that is the best of both worlds. Can be sculpted like clay and then work like wax. Alright, so when you first open up monster clay, you're probably going to feel on this and say, mercy, I ain't going to be able to sculpt this. I can't mash it, smash it, nothing. It feels about like a brick. You can just heat up this whole thing and melt it down. And I'm going to show you that in a little bit. But if you wanted to get started right off the bat, get you something like a spoon, a butter knife. Let me show you this. Let me just cut off a piece of this right there. And what you're going to notice is that relatively quickly it's going to go from being very firm, almost seemingly unworkable, into a consistency that's very nice, very pliable. As you get to handling in your hands and get to kneading and rolling it, it's going to warmify that clay. See that? And that right there is a pretty good starting point when you're getting ready to sculpt. The way you're going to approach probably sculpting with monster clay or with any wax type clay is that you will get it to a warm state that you can really move things around quickly and then cool it off, let it cool off naturally to where it can accept details, you know, and things in it. I don't know what that was a bad example of me showing that, but anyway. So one process that is oftentimes used by toy makers and sculptors in general is they take just regular old sulfur-free clay that you can get and we'll go ahead and make that little character and just get the broad shapes. You know, this is right, probably not the best example, but you know, so let's just say you got your little figure and then pour silicone and make a mold of that clay figure. And then they take that silicone mold and then pour wax down into it. All right. and let that cool off. Pop that out. Then you got a hard wax copy of your original that you can really refine and get the smoothness to it, because wax works a lot different than clay. Alright, for details, for getting really sophisticated. So many figures are made that way with sculpted in a hard wax. It just finishes a lot different. What I am showing y'all today can be worked like a clay, but then finished, treated like a wax. So it is both a sculpting material and a casting material that's going to allow a whole world of possibilities to you. Instead of just scraping this off here all day, what we going to do? Let's just heat this whole thing up. Now for today, I decided to try the crock pot. I have been told that you can use a microwave. However, please be careful, because the microwave would tend to create a melted pocket right in the middle of the clay. A hot clay can come busting squirt out of it. Please do not do that. Please. In fact, I would recommend not even using a microwave at all, just to be safe. That is, if you even own a microwave. Craftsman does not own a microwave. Anyway, crock pot. It was already switched to high, but normally you would say, start out in the off position and then say, low, high. I'm about to take the camera off the tripod and then mount it up on this right there. I probably need to do me a time lapse video. Alright. Now once it gets to this point, then you got all kinds of possibilities. First of all, you could just take you and scoop out some of this, let it cool off, start using it. Obviously you don't want to just reach up in here while it's hot, but you can take, let me show you, and hold you some right on a spoon, and it's still pretty good and warm. But let me just see here. Alright. Alright, and notice how already it's kind of peeling off my glove right there. You can see how just in a short little time it gets to a real good workable consistency. And you can roll this stuff around. I know it looked real messy there for a minute. You can roll it all around. And that's another good thing I will point out, is that with your tools and things, this waxy clay right there, it does not stick to your tools. So it's easy to clean up your sculpting tools, see? Now we can go ahead and make us something with this. Probably I would let it cool down a little bit more even, but I just want you to see how quickly it could go from a more liquefied running state to just a good clay consistency right there. But while we do got us a little bit of running clay, I am going to go ahead and pour some of this into a mold. Not so fast. What you might want to do is to fill up on your silicone mold and say to yourself, is this thing feel cool to me, or does it feel warm to me? Because for best results, you need to be pouring your hot wax into a silicone mold that is warm and not cold. Alright, if this feels cool to you, you might want to put it in your little toaster oven just for a little bit. Some people might recommend that you use a microwave. Craftsman does not own a microwave. Anyway. The benefit of doing this is you can take something that you have made a mold of, then pour your clay into it, and then you can come back in here and sculpt you some little designs and things. You know me, I always like to add some batter damage to my designs and things. It probably would have been best to just take and dump the crock pot contents onto this. I'm trying to use me a little ladle to do this. That's not the preferential, so that y'all know that. So some additional things that you can use is a little alcohol torch and some denatured alcohol. Alright, so with this right here, you can do a number of things. You can take your metal sculpting tool and you can just warmify that. Then you could use the little flamethrower mode on this thing. Look, see that? It make a little pinpoint flame. Get you a little bit of a glossy effect. You can just sort of carefully, let's see. When you get ready to cut off your torch, you just put the cap over it. Alright, now from now on, this is going to be my clay crock pot. Not going to use this for no food items. Whenever I'm done with my sculpting, and I got it turned off, by the way, and because I think we got it warm enough, I just put my lid on it, keep the dust out, and anytime I'm ready to sculpt, I just turn it back on, and then we good to go. Let's just get crazy with this stuff right now. At this consistency right here is when, you know, if you really got to move some clay around, you know, some big gestures and big features in your object, your character, your whatever you're making. But it does not take it that long to get down to the equilibrium. And it depends on how warm is your workshop. You know, if you're doing this in your house and it's really cool, that's probably actually a better idea than in a warm environment. You could make your little aluminum foil armature like this right there. One thing I like about this monster clay is that it's very easy to get a smoothness, if that's what you're after. It does not drag and tear, you know, like some clays do. One disadvantage to this type of clay is that it never cures on you. It never dries out. It is what is leading up to making a mold and then cast and all that. As opposed to now with this, you wind up with an object that you can come in and sand on it. It gets about hard as a rock on its own. I don't know what I was doing with that. I like to do the base object and then add on to my sculpt. That's where my comfort level is. But lately I've been getting more into clay sculpting. And today trying this monster clay. You know, it does not harden on you. So your final object, you're going to have to either just be real careful with it, or just do what I'm probably going to do would be to make a mold of whatever it is. Then you can make cast and resin and everything like that that's permanent. All right. We got us a little lump of clay right there. And I guess we need to make something. What do we need to make? I do not know. But that usually is the case. 9 times out of 5, I don't think things through. So. All right, there we go. I will say again, this clay smooths out very easily. You can see just how easily you can work out little things. That's kind of crazy. But, you know, I'm starting to think I want to put a head accessory of some type on this little gentleman here. Not only you could put your clay down and put you some playing cards to the side of it and roll it and get that to an exact consistency, you know. But we ain't worried about that, you know. Let's just see. That's pretty convenient. He could just sit like that. So I said to myself, you know what? Let's try this Castilene. I can tell right off the bat, this is a much firmer substance. Castilene is. That might be a good thing. Let's just go ahead and put this in the crock pot. In the crock pot. Alright, I'm not going to let it get melted all the way down. We're just going to get some off of this, enough that we can use for a little sculpt. And we're going to get it to where it's a little bit cooled off into a workable consistency. Oh, first of all, I probably need to try, probably need to try and pour me some into a mold though to test that out. So I just got hold of me a really warm piece right there. It's starting to cool off pretty good. I'm gonna let it get a little bit cooler. I could say that Castilene definitely reminds me more of, you know, wax, as opposed to, you know, Monster Clay has a smoothness to it. And to me, Castilene has you know, I have not researched the ingredients too closely, but I can tell it's got more hard wax content, apparently. At least it certainly feels that way to it. It has kind of almost a graininess to it, the structure. And try to keep your surface clean, you know. Any little pieces of wax that, you know, fall, usually I'll just brush them off to the side instead of adding them back into your mix, because any of that little stuff going to possibly show up later on. Mainly with this video, I just want to introduce y'all to Monster Clay, if you did not know about it, as both a sculpting medium that you can take, make you a little something out of it, or either you can also melt it down and then pour it into molds and just, you know, make actually cast out of it that you can further modify. Now, I will say that if I had to guess, I would say most people probably would find Monster Clay preferential just for general purposes. However, there is a reason that a lot of toy makers find Castilene to be their model of medium of choice, sculpting medium of choice, because it has some really wonderful properties to it that you just can't quite get with Monster Clay, at least not with the Monster Clay medium. Take this right here for example. So we got this thing here, and let's just say that we wanted to polish it up. Micro mesh is a series of very fine abrasives that goes from 1500 grit all the way down, or excuse me, rather all the way up to 12,000 grit right there. And I obviously could have done a lot better on that, but you should be able to see from that that it will definitely take a polish. So I want to say, do not overlook Castilene. It might have a little more getting used to than Monster Clay. I would not be able to polish a Monster Clay surface in that same way like I just did with this, you know. At least not with the Monster Clay medium. One trick somebody told me about, and I would just give a disclaimer that this is a trick I probably would only use, you know, in a pinch. I wouldn't be doing this all the time. I can't disclose who it was. Maybe they worked on Star Wars or something like that. I don't know. Somebody told me. They said that when you get to going and you get your surface real hot, you know, you've been sitting there trying to work on it and play with it, and then you got to let it cool down before you try to polish it. They said, Craftsman, you can take some of this spray air in a can like that, and they said you could turn that upside down and hit it with it. I don't know what's going to be released when we do that. I have not really studied the chemicals that's inside this can, so I'm going to turn that can upside down. And just cool it off like that right there. You know, don't get crazy with that now. Craftsman, that's dangerous. Every day I'm doing dangerous things about it. Anyway, let's see. You could use some Goo Gone, which is basically a citrus solvent. Has some limonene in it. One benefit is that it smells really good, you know, when you're using this. Some people will also use lighter fluid. But what I would say is that you will want to reserve that as a final step, because when you start, you know, putting solvents and things on the surface of your sculpt, it's going to modify things quite a bit on that outer layer, so that, you know, if you then try to go on and refine it, it's not going to behave exactly the same. So try to hang on to that to the very last. You can also just use the torch method when you're doing your polishing, but practice with that one, especially with Castilene, because Castilene, when you get it too close to the flame, it's going to bubble up a lot quicker than Monster Clay will. So let's just take this right there. This is what you do not want to do. All right, you do not want to put it right in the flame. You see, you can actually burn it like that. See that? The bottom line review for me would be, if you're looking for something that's easy to get into, that you can pretty much just sculpt with it from scratch to finish, it's probably going to be Monster Clay. Almost about like you would with Super Sculpting. Alright, something to that equivalent. I would say Castilene is probably not quite as easy to use. However, there is a reason that toy makers and prototype people use Castilene, because you can get some great details and a really good finish with it. I just want to share with y'all a product that is wonderful both for sculpting as well as for casting and making refinements to existing figures, for finishing out your figures, your toy, whatever you might be working on, your product. And I hope this information was useful to you today. Remember that it takes more muscles to be aggravated than it does to just, you know, smile and be nice to somebody else. Alright? I love y'all, and keep steady crafting. Do what?